Good morning, girls. I'm Dr. Kiran Deshwal, Assistant Professor English, VGT Government Girls College, Shahpura. Today, I will teach you the essay of studies composed by Francis Bacon. Let us have an introduction of the author and the essay. Francis Bacon was one of the leading figures in natural philosophy and in the field of scientific methodology in the period of transition from the Renaissance to the early modern era. So, in your first paper, you will get to know about the periods in English literature. So, Bacon belongs from the period of transition, or we can say from that of Renaissance. Renaissance is a period where there was a revival of knowledge, art, and sculpture. So, Bacon was born in 1561 and died in 1626. And he is known as a philosopher and a teacher of scientific methodology. As a lawyer, he was a member of parliament and Queen's Council. So, Queen reigned in this era from 1557 to 1603, Queen Elizabeth, and he was one of the counselors of Queen. Bacon wrote on questions of law, state, and religion. He wrote about everything about law. Being a lawyer, he wrote about law. Being a statesman or a counselor of queens, he wrote about the state. And being a philosopher, he wrote about religion as well as on contemporary politics. He also wrote on politics. Being a counselor of the queen, he also wrote on politics, but he also published texts in which he speculated on possible conceptions of society. He had a knowledge of social life also, so he wrote about society also, and he pondered questions of ethics, essays about which he talks in his essays. Even in his works of natural philosophy, the advancement of learning, as the text known. After his studies at Trinity College, Cambridge, he studied at Trinity College, Cambridge and Gray's Inn, London. Bacon did not take up a post at a university. He could have been a university professor, but he did not take up that post, but instead tried to start a political career. He became a politician. Although his efforts were not crowned with success during the era of Queen Elizabeth, he was not a successful politician. Under James I, he rose to the highest political office, but in the rule of at the rule of James I, at the time period of James I, the king, he got success in his political career. He became Lord Chancellor. Lord Chancellor is the person who is the nearest to the king. Bacon's international fame. Thus, as an ambassador, he got the chance to travel various countries. So, he became internationally famous. So, Bacon's international fame during the era of Queen Elizabeth under James I, he rose to the highest political office, Lord Chancellor, and Bacon's international fame and influence spread during his last year. In the last years of his life, he became very famous when he was able to focus his energies exclusively on his philosophical work. He became philosopher, and even more so after his death. After his death, when English scientists of the Boyle Circle Invisible College took up his ideas of a cooperative research. His ideas had been taken for a cooperative research institution in their plans and preparations for establishing the Royal Society. So the foundation of the Royal Society founded on the basis of the ideas of Francis Bacon. To the present day, Bacon is well known for his treatise on empiricist natural philosophy. Empiricist natural philosophy, the philosophy of a country, the philosophy of a state, the advancement of learning, Novum Organum, Scientiarum. These are his uh, great works for which he is known, and for his doctrine of the idols, which he put forward in his early writings, as well for the idea of a modern research institute, which he described in Nova Atlantis. So this is what Bacon achieved. Now let us have a brief summary of our essay of studies. Let me introduce you people with our essay, what the writer wants to convey, what the writer wants to say in this essay. Let us sum up in brief, and tomorrow we will have a line by line analysis of this essay. So let us begin. I hope you have understood about the life and career of Francis Bacon, and now let us have a brief summary of the essay of studies. As the title suggests, of studies means it's about study. When we read something, when we write something, when we listen to something, it's all about study. So why do people study? Why it is important? What's its purpose? So let us have a brief summary of this essay. In this essay, Bacon describes the importance of studies in human life. Bacon begins the essay by enlisting three purposes of studies. Bacon says that people study due to three reasons. There are three purposes for which a man studies. First of all, we study for delight. Like if we read a joke, if we read a story, we read that for delight. For ornament, whenever we have to speak about something, we read. First of all, when we have to anchoring, so first of all we will read. So to enhance our sentence quality, our speaking skills, first of all we read something. And for ability, to enhance our ability, and to make graceful our ability, we study. Studies delight most when one is secluded and reposed. When we are alone or in solitude, only then studies can delight us. Knowledge acquired through studies serve as ornament in a conversation. And if we know various idioms, phrases, or proverbs, we can use them in our conversation. So knowledge acquired which we have read can be used in our conversation. A well-read man will have a good vocabulary and greater knowledge, which will increase the worth of a conversation. So, talkative people, people who are clever in talk, they are just because they have read various things. Studies improve one's judgmental and authoritative abilities. This is true. Ordinary men can no doubt go about their daily business without difficulty. If you are learned, you can do your things better, you can do your work better, but a learned man will do so with higher efficiency. Uh, Study make you efficient. Bacon, however, says that studying too much is a sign of laziness, but you study so much, it will make you lazy. And Bacon says that studying too much makes people lazy, like using too many ornaments while conversing makes one look pretentious. So, to make judgments only on the basis of rules is the eccentricity of a scholar. So, this should not be done, this should be avoided. And studies make a man perfect. This is a very beautiful sentence and very meaningful sentence which we still use as a proverb. So studies make a man perfect is the famous sentence from this essay of Bacon's. And it's true, knowledge empowers people. And when you are learned, you are perfect. So studies make a man perfect. Studying is not an inborn talent. People earn it by learning. It is acquired by studying or by learning. The natural abilities of man are to be enhanced by studies, just like the growth of plants is enhanced by trimming. When we trim some plant, it looks beautiful. Similarly, when we imbibe knowledge and we learn something, when we study books, we become learned, talented, or efficient. Studies provide both direction and experience. Study gives us direction towards our goal, and we become experienced person. Practical men often condemn studies, but wise men use it. This is the difference between wise person and practical person. Studies teach men to learn from observation. One must not use knowledge as a means of contradiction or confutation. So this is very important sentence. Bacon says that if you are learned, you should utilize your knowledge in making something perfect or making something better rather than arguing. A learned person should not argue. Studies must also not be used to believe or to take for granted or to talk and discourse, but to weigh and consider. You should become a thoughtful person. Then Bacon speaks about the different ways in which different books are to be read. He says that we should be choosy in reading. Some books are to be tested. We should read some books only on surface level, others to be swallowed, but some books we should learn them by heart, and some few to be chewed and digested, and some of them we should never forget in our whole lifetime. So this should be the rule while we study something. This means some books are to be pursued lightly. We should read them lightly. That is, books are to be pursued lightly, that is tested, while some other books are to be understood and enjoy. We should understood them, we should enjoy them, that is swallowed. On the other hand, certain books are to be digested, that is to fully extract their meaning. We should extract their meaning fully and implement their thoughts, their ideas, their views and their saying in our life. Therefore, some books are to be read only in parts, others are to be read with less curiosity, and some books are to be read with attention and diligence. Bacon, however, also says that sometimes it may be enough to read extracts or reviews of books so that we can get the meaning of these books made by others instead of reading the whole book by oneself. Like you can't read Ramayana, so you should read a treatise on Ramayana. But according to Bacon, this is to be done only in case of books of less importance. He considers these distilled books to distilled waters, which he calls fleshy things. So he uses verbs, coined verbs, words to make his thing understand. Reading makes a man complete. If you are learned, you are complete man. Conversation makes a man quick and witty. If you have a knowledge, you will reply something quickly and in a witty way, in a wise manner. And writing improves the memory. If you write something, it will improve your memory. That's why we write while we read. If a man writes less, he will lack a good memory. If he speaks little, he will lack wit and presence of mind. So, a study of history makes a man wise, while a study of poetry makes him witty. Mathematics, this is the effect of different subjects on a person's mind. Mathematics makes a man exact and precise, and natural philosophy increases the depth of the mind. Morals make a man grave, whereas the study of logic and rhetoric makes him more comprehensive. So, studies pass into character when we are what we read. Whatever we read, it reflects in our character. A man's character is influenced and defined by the type of books he reads. So there is no disease of the mind that cannot be cured by proper study. Bacon says that study is disease curing. If you have a disease, you can cure it by studying. Bowling is good for the bladder and the kidneys, shooting for the lungs and breast, walking for the stomach, and reading is good for the head. If we read something, it is a good exercise for our head. Similarly, mathematics is the remedy for a wandering mind, because if a man's mind wanders while solving a problem, he can have to begin again. So if a man is unable to make distinction, he must study schoolmen, and if he is not quick in passing through matters, he should study the law. These things will keep his mind busy. Thus Bacon concludes the essay by saying that, establishing that for every deficit of mind, a remedy is to be found in study. So study provide remedy or solution for every problem of a mind. Thanks for watching. We will be continuing our next video.